And technology news, Apple TV Plus is now available, starting with a slate of original programming. So how does Apple's offering fit into the streaming landscape? Joining us right now with their take is Kara Swisher. She's executive editor and co-founder at Recode. Also, Ed Lee, who's corporate media reporter at the New York Times, and Joe Terranova of Virtus Investment is our other guest host. All three of them are CNBC contributors. And Kara, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in.
No problem.
I have a million things I want to talk to you about.
All right.
We'll start with streaming just because this is the day for the Apple launch. I mean, it seems to me that this is a very different product than a lot of the other streaming services. Yeah. This is more akin to kind of Amazon. It's video stuff, and including that in Prime.
Well, they're trying to use the distribution network of Apple and the phones and the sort of the halo of Apple to put these sort of high-class shows available to people. And so we'll see if it works. It seems like a lot of the reviews is that it's very traditional television. I think some of the reviews are sort of, this looks like anything that would come from NBC or CBS or ABC. So we'll see how it does. But services are critically important to Apple, and I use that as a broad thing, services. And that includes the music service, and all the other things they're trying to sell.
Things, a little extra money.
And they're trying to like daisy chain them one to the other, music to entertainment. They probably could go into healthcare or wellness or things like that. And so it sees what they're going to do.
I mean, I just feel like it's a different measuring stick. Like success in this one doesn't necessarily mean that you're making a ton of money off of it.
No, it's de minimis for Apple.
Right.
Phones are still the deal. It's sort of like Google and search and Amazon, and it doesn't make money from their entertainment stuff, but it's part of the halo effect of everything that they're trying to do.
I have a subscription question, actually, for both of you. Ed can weigh in on this. We talked about in the last hour, and I don't know the answer to this, but it has to do with subscriptions, which is, last year, Apple announced with great fanfare the News Plus service. Remember, they got all the big news organizations to join, with the exception of some notable ones.
You get this.
And I don't think I've heard about what kind of take-up there has been on that news service, and I don't remember a ton of promotion for it, and I'm just not sure where it lands, and if that's an example of subscription to any, I mean, and maybe that should not be considered the model. What does it mean?
So it's a great question. When it first launched, we reported that I think within the first week or so, they had gotten about 200,000 subscriptions to that News Plus service. So nearly off the bat. I think that was sort of an interesting number relative to sort of zero. Of course, it's a nice number to get to. But you're right. They haven't really released any new numbers since.
Maybe it's killing it and we have no idea. I don't know.
And I don't think they're going to release numbers until they get to what they feel are good milestones to release, or they may never release those numbers if they don't hit those.
Oh, they'll release them if they're good. Come on. I mean, it's de minimis to their business. I think the music service is interesting. It's sort of developing.
You think that's the better model?
Absolutely.
Number two now.
I think number two, and actually very good. Like, I have kids and they've moved to Apple Music. I don't know why.
Off of Spotify.
They did, and they love Spotify. And Spotify, is a tremendous product. It's the same thing with Netflix. And I think the issue is, look, Netflix and Spotify in each sector are the better ones, the ones that really did break through with consumers. Now, the question is, can they take that from them?
They gave up Spotify, or they added
They gave up Spotify. It was interesting. And I'm not sure why. They just like it. They like the product. That's pretty much it.
It's a better interface, I think, and for a lot of people like it better. I think what's interesting, it's different about music versus television or news, is that the music stuff, I mean, it's commodity, right? You're getting more or less the same things on Spotify as you would on Apple Music. So it is as much, there's some differences, but it's essentially the same stuff. With the TV content, it's different, right? You're supposed to be getting different shows. You're supposed to be getting things that are exclusive either to Apple TV Plus or to Netflix. So in the case also of TV Plus, I know it's like, $5 a month? That's free if you have a new device owner. $5 is actually pretty expensive. It's a lot of money for, a dozen shows at the start. It'll build up over time, but they're asking
a lot. Depends on how good those shows are, too.
Depends on how those shows are, too.
But obviously, the flagship is the morning show.
Right.
And that looks so expensive. I don't know if it sort of...
It is expensive. $200 million expensive.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, a lot of the ones that are getting better reviews are things that are smaller. There was one about Emily Dickinson, Dickinson, that got good reviews. I think the issue is whether they can really do well. Like, look, HBO launched HBO Max. Like, now there's tons of these things, and they bought some shows. Friends, I think they've got South Park. Is that right?
They got South Park and Friends, and there's some other originals.
It's all about the content, and the question is if you're going to move to from Netflix to those. I love Netflix, but the question is if they have better shows on Apple, will I move?
But is it an either or can there be multiple winners?
Well, I think not for most people. Yeah. For rich people, I guess. It's expensive.
To your point on content, Disney launches on November 12th.
That's
Don't
another one.
They have a distinctive advantage over everyone else because they have that legacy content, don't they?
They have a lot of good content, but HBO has great. We love HBO's content. Like everybody loves Succession.
HBO has way more stuff in it than I thought they were going to.
They do. I think HBO may be sort of the dark horse, although HBO has taken forever to get here. Like it's been years.
Also, it's expensive. HBO is going to be the most. HBO Max is going to be the most expensive. It'll cost the same as HBO. It's $15.
Right?
Yeah. Whereas Netflix, the standard price is $13.
So you tell me, are there people who historically have not subscribed to HBO who now will because of the additional
It's the same
content?
amount if you have cable, right? That's what you pay.
Same amount.
It's the same cost.
So that's the question. Yeah. To me, that's sort of a interesting theoretical question. If you didn't subscribe to HBO before, do you?
Well, I think, first of all, if you're an AT&T customer, I think you have a new interest in that because they're trying to bundle it into the things that they already serve you. That'll be a big part of it. The fundamental question, though, is if you didn't already pay $15 a month for what you had on HBO, why would you pay it now because of all this other stuff? It's a marketing question, right? They've got 170 million customer relationships. They're going to start putting them into, the monthly bills when you get them. Hey, sign up for HBO Max. The first month is free. The first year is free, whatever it might be. And so I think that'll be that could make the difference. Whether fundamentally as a consumer you want it.
And then there's a separate brand issue, which is that HBO, I think, always had a sort of very upscale,
which Apple is going for,
sensibility as well.
But
HBO Max is trying to do something very different.
Right.
And so does that shift it in a good way? Does it then take away on the other end? I mean, there's sort of a...
Peter Kafka was recently talking about it. Like, Netflix has been around the track 20 times ahead of these people. And so the question is, it's really Netflix's to lose. And the question is, does Netflix get sold to someone or should it sell to someone to have better distribution and link it with distribution? I think that's really going to be the key, is where you get these things and how they market them.
I think there's something to that, but Netflix is $60 million in the U.S. already. It's already too expensive, but the thing is that their addressable market that they've said for the U.S. is somewhere between 60 and 90 million, right? So they're going to they're already hitting that mark. They're going to get to 70, 80 at some point. It'll take them a little longer now because of the new competition. So I think getting sold to someone else for better distribution could help if it were more for international stuff, or they could sort of, dominate with the other.
So can we expect to see Netflix at a lower price point?
I don't think they're going to be doing that.
So.
Their plan is to continue.
Not down, right?
Yeah, they raise prices about every 18 months. Yeah. They're not going to slow. Also, they're going to stop borrowing money, right? So they need to do more self-funding to
find ways to pay for all the content that they're spending, like $8 to $10 billion.
That's right.
How do you figure out how to play this? Is there anything you do, Joe?
Disney has been the way to play it. I will say that Disney has performed a little underwhelming since the announcement. We'll see what happens on November 12th, but stock is basically in the same place it was when they made the announcement. To me, that would be the right play for the investment community.
Also, Bob Iger's been smart about telling the investor community, look, don't look for profits in the next few years because it's a completely different benchmark now. The economics of streaming television are frankly not great.
Well, it's the same way you treat Netflix, right?
Streaming is completely...
Exactly. He's like, you see, remember Netflix? Think of the same for us.
Where are you going to be in 2024? That's the way you have to think about streaming.
But again, it's content. It's literally who has the best content
and can they continue to turn
and
it
the
out.
Best interface. But they're all similar interfaces. And again, the question is, young people, how much do they want to have each of these individual subscriptions? I don't see it. I don't see that that's how people play this game. But we'll see if there can be packages or bundles or different things like that.